very much to add after Carol's. He explored his national position on this. But as you know, we will have Staffan de Mistura via VTC. He's on his way to Sochi later on over the weekend. So I think, if you recall, last month we had a discussion with him. We're moving into the to the consultation room today to sort of continue that discussion, hopefully to brainstorm a little bit about the political process, where that's going. It's now been 6 months since the decision was taken to establish the Constitutional Committee, and there has not been, obviously not happening yet, so we will have to talk to him about that. Our view is very much that this needs to happen swiftly. And then I hope that we will have some communication to you after the meeting. My view or our sense is that most countries do agree with the fact that 2254 is the main resolution to steer the political process, and that there is support for the establishment of the Constitutional Committee and for Staffan's work.
Mr. President, can you tell us what your view is of the Sochi meeting? What is that supposed to achieve? My understanding is it's an Astana meeting in Sochi, is that right?
Our view is that there needs to be political discussions on the way forward. Geneva is the main umbrella for all this, but it's proven quite useful, including the establishment of the Constitutional Committee in this other format. So I think Staffan goes there with a mandate from us, from the Secretary General, and that conversation can be helpful, feeding into the Geneva process and hopefully put more pressure on the establishment of serious candidates into these constitutional committees, which have to include more women, including on that point, which I think Staffan very much agree on.
Why the meeting is closed? And my second question is, what is the main concern right now among the council members?
On Syria? How much time do we have?
Main concern.
The reason we're moving into the closed consultations today is because we did have a discussion with Staffan in the open. I can't remember the exact date, 3-4 weeks ago, maybe it was last month for sure, where I think some of us felt, and many council members felt, that they missed a little bit the opportunity to discuss more in detail with him. So we just didn't have time to do that last time around. So that's what we're trying to do today. There is such a long list of concerns when it comes to Syria, including the lack of traction on the political process, the fact that there's still to my mind, inflated belief that by military victory you can establish stability in Syria, which is of course not going to happen. There needs to be inclusive politics regardless of how the military campaign is going. I think the political process is going to be flawed and difficult to get started until we get a true cessation of hostilities on the ground. Right now, with the military offensives going on, the environment is not really positive enough to have a credible political process, unfortunately. You have huge humanitarian concerns. You have concerns about refugees, still internally displaced, people moving up to Idlib, what's going to happen around Idlib. So there's just a long range of concerns that we have and that we'll have to discuss. We have another session on the humanitarian situation, including on the fate for children, on Friday.
Pastor, what about these surrender deals that Russia has negotiated? Has that been raised, or will that be raised?
I believe it will be raised. It has been discussed in the past. The safe passage and that kind of thing. But again, this is effects of a military campaign. It's an attempt to relieve, to provide a little bit of relief. But again, as long as the military offensive continues, you're going to have a lot of collateral damage, and there are a lot of concerns about humanitarian workers, etc., and the fate for them and their possibility to work. We have the cross-border humanitarian issues. We have the pressure vis-à-vis Jordan. We discussed yesterday the Golan situation, etc. So there's just so much going on, which is still negative. So although in some ways the military confrontation has calmed down in parts of the country. There's still huge issues to be resolved, and there's this huge humanitarian suffering still going on.
Do you approve the deal between France and Russia about give humanitarian help to Ghouta without UN implication?
We'll have to look into the details of that. I'm not exactly sure if there's a Swedish position on that, but I think the European Union has been quite clear when it comes to reconstruction, and that that there is a certain amount of there needs to be political inclusivity before we can start reconstructing the country. But I also believe that the humanitarian space needs to exist regardless of politics. So we'll have to just study that deal. Thank you very much. I suppose so, yeah. Thank you.